Hello. So, as anyone who has caught the first part of this video, I started the Daily Dharma today and I had an appointment arrive a little bit earlier than anticipated, so I wasn't done with the message, I feel. And we were talking about, in case you didn't watch that other video and just wanted to start with this one, we're talking about being given our proper respect due for our authority in a situation. And I believe where we were going was maybe we didn't understand our authority in a certain situation. And there's one circumstance or individual or group that is overlooking your potential, perhaps even dismissing you verbally or cutting you socially in certain ways, making you question your level in something. Whether or not you're a beginner, everybody should be afforded respect and equal opportunity no matter of their differences. And there's something, I saw 111 there, there's something that sets you apart from the group that you're trying to identify in that situation or circumstance. And then there's another recurring situation where, and both of these may be situations that ring of a lot of ties from the past. These may be re-entry into groups that you used to identify with, maybe the same group in both circumstances, like a family and a job, and a resurgence of the differences and the balancing act that needs to happen, or two different social groups, two different aspects of your own personality. I mean, like, just occurring to me right now, I've got this big truck on my shirt and a spiritual reading. Most people probably wouldn't say that those things go, but I'm not trying to dress to impress. To me, I think that we should respect individuals not based on their appearances, and we all think that to a certain extent that that's the best way to do it. But on the other hand, there's that part of us, that jaded part of us, that wants to say, yeah, but stereotypically group thinking, I identify a few things about this individual. Well, there's something setting you apart in that type of a way. And then this other situation, there's also some type of thing that sets you apart. But the difference is of perhaps the consciousness level of the individuals or the wounding level of the individuals, which are somewhat dependent upon each other for the way that we accept and acknowledge and are kind and promoting and supporting to those that we encounter, or whether we feel an ego need to diminish others. And so this different consciousness, this other set of circumstances or individuals, are giving you more credit almost the moment that you open your mouth. And it's in the most innocent of remarks as far as you go. This is something that perhaps even you came in overlooking this authority in yourself because it came so easily, and the other thing comes harder for you. And so there was self-judgment that gave an opportunity for someone to kind of slide under the radar and start picking at your level. So I apologize about the wind if it is in the microphone. Under the deck here, I've got Lover in the comic. So I see that you're being guided to both take a humorous approach to this, even a sarcastic, humorous approach in your inside headspace while you figure out what this is demanding or asking of you. So I've got some books flying around here. Got some chipmunks running around here. Hope you can appreciate and see the creek in the background. It's pretty out here. So Lover in the comic is like how we've learned how to navigate our life, being the bigger person, the more kind and wise person. And so perhaps there's been, um, how do I want to say, a readjustment of your boundaries in the past that allowed these individuals to come in a little bit closer with their picking at you, where now the priestess energy is like pushing back, saying, I've just witnessed where these people were giving me so much more credit for who I am and how I show up, and the authority with which I speak and act and behave, and the decorum and all this other stuff, right? The mixture of your aggression with your decorum. It's character. We were talking about character earlier. And I'm seeing both divine masculine and feminine on the deck, or on the board here. So let's see what the archetypal deck wants to tell us. I'm going to get a few cards on 3 different areas here. I'm going to look at both situations. That one came flying out. That wants to be over here, the storm. Indeed. So this is the situation that you're trying so hard for some level of just acknowledgement, just base level acknowledgement, perhaps. You're working hard. You've done a lot of efforting here, and truth be told, there's a lot of creative energy and force and influence um, and mad skills on various levels, subliminal, subconscious levels, that are triggering somebody who is not as consciously aware of their own inner authority, and so they're the type that needs to project or diminish and use their energy to destroy rather than build, which there's a time for everything, but I think you know what I mean. Underneath father, and I'm hearing father issues, black and the white. It's like they haven't truly identified the depths and the core of their authority with the upgraded divine masculine of kindness and wisdom. They're still playing out some type of toxic masculinity, fragile masculinity, having to potentially do with the father figure, and then they're reenacting some level of consciousness or intentionality to be the authority over others. It's a control aspect versus a support aspect. It's not protecting and guiding, it's restricting and containing. The queen, whether you're masculine or feminine, I believe that this queen energy is talking about your inner value. This is reminding me of the womb card, the tear. So it's whether you identify masculine, feminine, or super masculine, even, you can still have that inner queen that has that indignation over being disrespected when you're not demanding it. Being you're not being in conflict energy with these people, and so therefore they're trying to brand you as weak. But in staying in your own energy, you are very, very obviously a queen, and this probably further triggers these individuals. So the tear, I'm seeing that this is your past healing and your ability to utilize the tear to both separate the salt of the earth from the waters of our soul and our deeper consciousness, blending together and showing themselves through the cathartic healing process of washing away the debris of the earthly egos and things like that. So, and on their regard, I believe that they're still very upset. They're very immersed in that, and they cannot see other individuals except to see them as competition or to be defensive or to need to validate themselves, you're surpassing the limits they place on themselves, and it makes them highly uncomfortable. So this storm in their life is coming up to show you to your own power. 10-10. Let's get on this other situation that's showing you, okay, Kairos, that is 76. It's a 13. Yeah, and an ending to an old way of being, and this goes well under this divine masculine pile, talks about divine timing, synchronistic timing, and how this may be a deeper soul lesson than maybe we recognized at first. But it's the ability for the assertive side of ourselves to hold the hand of the receptive side. It's like being your own partner in this situation, being your own validator, your own parent, your own father figure in this. We don't need this toxic masculine to approve of us. We don't need this toxic boss who's still immersed in his healing, his infantile striving for validation from someone to tell him that he's worthy, right? That's not your issue. The father's on the bottom again, see? Your father issues may be a similar thing, and maybe you took it differently, but there's a resonance in the father wound here where you're healing yours. There's a temptation with the siren apocalypsis. Apocalypsis is like it's like when the Grim Reaper walks down the catwalk on display, like, oh, now you're going to see, now you're going to get it. It's like putting death to the old ways of being in our own life, finally healing and no longer needing to repeat and re-immerse in the dynamics of toxicity, and especially patriarchal toxicity on some level. Apocalypsis remains on the bottom of the deck, the death. So with the divine timing of this, I feel like you already knew in this other group that this was something that you're good at, and this is already something that you self-validate for, and when others don't approve of that, you just go and do your own thing. You know what you know. But in this other way, you still had some type of layer where you had to almost subconsciously prove to yourself that this person, this Goblin King, had no power over you in this circumstance, to validate your skill or your technique or your value. You're on fire, and that's what's calling their attention. You are electric in your magnetism. It's like you don't need to show yourself to know yourself. It zaps people right in the face. It jolts their heart space awake. It blasts open their mind. And you are radiant. You are the illuminated queen here. And this other situation, the divine timing is that you didn't need the validation. And almost it's like, it's not there because you didn't need it necessarily, but perhaps that's part of it. It's to show you that hurt people will continue to hurt you, and you can't take that personally. You needed something there, but there are gentler ways to see ourselves, and we know that. Under apocalypsis is gnosis. I love it. I'm going to put apocalypsis here with the queen, and gnosis right here. And then we have, this gets so gorgeous. So then we have the temple. I'm going to place that under the queen. And the siren. We'll leave the siren here on the bottom. So right now the invitation is to see ourselves through to our core, to that inner gemstone, and recognize why people are so attentive to our energy is because we call to their need for healing. We call them so profoundly, and they have to resist us with all they have if they're not ready to encounter their own healing potential. And so the siren is like, we aren't the toxic magnetic, we are the electric magnetic, where we are fully embodying both our shadow and light aspects, and we are able to separate the wheat from the chaff, the salt from the psychic realms. It's like if somebody's being salty with us, we don't need that salt. We can just kind of let that wash away and let them sit in their own issue. And when you are, it's that child, like, I'm rubber, you're glue, whatever you say bounces off me and sticks to you. It's like how we tell children how to let karma do its work, and not that karma is the punisher. Karma is just the way shower. And we would gladly help these individuals find their way from the heart based level, and we are. By staying in our energy, we are. We are the divinity. We are in our space, in our temple. And setting that sacred space says, my priestess gatekeeper, my dragon gargoyles are not letting you come into my sacred temple, into my sacred sense of self in my core. I will not let your toxic vibes come in, because with coherence on the deck right above the divine feminine, it's like the ability to perceive what we need and what we no longer require for our healing. That coherence of resonance. Coherence is when a chord is dissonant or coherent. Do they work together, or are they at cross purposes? And maybe from an early age you wanted to be a fixer or a caretaker, and those things can be capitalized on when somebody needs to be dominant and controlling, because then they begin to manipulate, and they may not be consciously aware of it. But as the circumstance shows itself to you, the healing allows you to say, oh, that's another one of those things I don't really need anymore. And so with apocalypsis and gnosis, this is that breakthrough understanding where we understand the frequency of coherence supports our ability to harmonize the frequency of the heart with the frequency of the mind for the optimal ability to create the reality that we desire. So yeah, we don't need to go over here and struggle against these toxic waters. We can rise above that. I mean, there's this saying too, before I get in here, about I believe it's something with the Buddha, that, or something like that. This enlightened individual was told by their mentors that when they shared their wisdom and their energy and everything that they were with those that could not digest or perceive of the value of that, then these individuals would just block it out or disregard, diminish, or deflect. And so all of your energy is like just lost, because it's not being integrated into somebody. It's not that they need to take your advice, it's that they need to pair it against their own wisdom for their own growth. It's about what they take from your message. I might think that this message is whatever I title the message, to be continued. And you might say, oh, well, that's totally not what that was. That was this other thing in my life. And that's what consciousness is. It's our ability to take the estimation, the weights and measures of our experience, and weigh it against the feather light temple of our inner wisdom and our soul experience in body. And when you're doing that, you are the gem, and it will trigger some divinely to get on their path. But we don't need to sit there and keep on trying to assist them, even if we're trying to prove ourselves. If we're trying to prove ourselves, this is us engaging in the toxic need for validation from the unloving, absent father. And not that your father was absent or unloving, but that's the socialized disregard for the psychic and emotional liminal self that we are, masculine or feminine. The father puts traditionally more weight and measure upon progress and ability to conform and control and to dominate until the Father has looked into themselves with this storm energy and been triggered and challenged to work with those energies. And we can see that all over the place. We might think that it looks like greater toxicity, but they're immersed in their learning. So 76, let's look at 76 first. Apocalypsis says removing the veil of deception, like why we think we're there, what we think we're receiving, and what we're actually doing. Maybe it has greater value for some of you than others. Apocalypsis indicates a particularly painful time, one that unfolds when two disparate dynamics occur simultaneously, pulling the psyche in seemingly opposing directions. The first is a lifting of the veil. This means truths that have been kept in the dark are revealed, seen, and unearthed. No matter how relieving it is to witness them come into the full light, an element of despair and grief follows. The second dynamic is the regeneration that comes from the wreckage of the revealed truth. The old narrative breaks and a new story forms. Apocalypsis energy is similar to a forest fire's devastation for the sake of regeneration. Right? Oh, yes. The veil lifts and we see who and what has been hiding. From the nakedness of the truth, a child is born. Have faith in the process. Hold on to your center. That is the only way. Oh, and there's more here, but I think that is good. And Gnosis is 75. The preceding card? No. Let me look at that again. 50, 60, 75. Oh, this is 74, not 76, and that's 7. Got it. So they are back-to-back cards. So Apocalypsis leads us directly into Gnosis, like knowledge, literally. Innermost knowing, the mystic truths. True knowledge is not found in facts and figures in scholarly books on library shelves. Rather, Gnosis points to the deep and timeless archetypal wisdom that arises from the felt experiences of having touched the unknown with every one of the senses. Those who are drawn to Gnosis find themselves in esoteric studies, likely involving mysticism, alchemy, healing, or perhaps science. Knowing is their calling. I would add social work to that in psychology, which is alchemical. Knowing is their calling. Not knowing is their job description. No matter how far the alchemists take their studies, they come to the ultimate conclusion that facts slip toward mystery, and soon the mystery results in facts. This card signifies a knowing that is life-changing. Once you experience it, you are forever changed and become a guardian of Gnosis, the priestess energy, right? The eternal mystery is calling you. Study your passion in the deepest way available to you. So to just add on to that real quick too, it's like that whole thing about sharing your wisdom and knowledge and beauty and love and compassion where it's disregarded is not going to heal them. It's going to drain you. And likewise, if you are able to say just the simplest thing to those that are on the path of self-accountability, love, support, and who are ready for growth in synergy with you, those individuals, when you give them the simplest tidbit of, yeah, I took the wrong way and then I got a bunch of red lights, and one person might say, yeah, that's the worst. Well, I mean, we all might think that on some level, but we can also say, yeah, you must have needed to slow down a little bit today, to have a little patience on your path. It's the way that we look to what's there. Where's the opportunity? Now, where's the disrespect? And if we feel highly disrespected here, it's just to show us to There's something still working its way out. And yeah, it's the transferal of knowledge and the take all of that excellence and that beauty and character and growth potential and feed and nourish those that are also doing the same, because then they're going to give it back to you. Just seeing yourself giving to someone that is in need, in want, because these guys are also in need, but they're not in want. These people have a mutual coherence, a mutual resonance with you, and you will help each other to bloom in beautiful, unprecedented ways. Isn't that beautiful? 39. So it's in between the bridge and the dead end, the temple. I find that interesting. Burning bridges, creating bridges instead of conflict, and the dead end where it's not wanted. The sanctuary, the shrine, the altar, and I add the inner self is that divine temple, that sanctuary of self, and so is nature, an extension of that. I'm right in the way of the beauty. Allow me to set your eyes free on the landscape. When we think of the temple, we often envision an architectural structure in a far-off land. We are quick to distance ourselves from the sacred, assuming that we must expend much effort in order to arrive there. Yet the temple is universal, an omnipresent energy, accessible in the highest and lowest, richest and poorest of places. Visiting the temple might be as simple as stepping into the dappled light of the forest, slowly and sensuously kissing a lover, or closing your eyes to travel inward. This card is a call to re examine what you pay homage to and what you reject. What do you spend your time worshiping? Your phone, money, material goods? What barriers do you draw between yourself and the sacred? Perhaps there's room on your altar for something new, something surprising. Offer it to the heavens. So you're being called to something new, called to use your energy in a profound new way, and to see not only the sacred and profane evidenced in your external, but to see that as a reflection of the process that you're embracing now. And it's a powerful process that's of profound and extreme change. You know, it's a marked difference of when you have finally learned the lesson and no longer need to engage in it. Somebody can taunt you with the same stuff that used to really get you ticked off, and now you can just laugh, perhaps even gently in their face, and say, yeah, that's a good one. I see what you're doing there. Oh, because I'm weaker? Oh, yeah, interesting. So I think that that's good for that. Let's get you a couple of last minute oracle cards. I see the Book of Changes from the previous, and here the Yellow Tiger Mother. So making some type of a declaration to move with the flow of our lessons in a whole new way, dancing through life's passion and pain, sacred and profane. Yeah, friend and foe. Got it. 10 Sisters of Light, 33, and the Yellow Tiger Mother is 13. So maybe you have a mother figure that was kind of sassy, or you are the sassy mother figure. I like the word sassy, spicy. Colette. Maybe your mother taught you to see yourself differently, even if she couldn't quite accomplish it out in the bigger, wider world. It planted a seed within you that you've been able to catalyze in a profound way. I like the Kilidhara card. That's number 3. So we've got 3, 33, and 13 showing themselves. So 3 energy is Empress energy. Kalahara remains on the bottom. Take the top 2. Anahata Kali is 33. I'm telling you. So this is a mixed deck. Kali and Kuan Yin both showing the 3s with the 33. That's the heart chakra. And look at that stonewall face. What do I want to say? That RBF. Do you remember that? Yeah, it's like breaking through the stone wall, breaking through the masking. It's like this glance that could turn men to stone. Who's that? Medusa coming in. Thank you, Medusa. Thank you, Kelly. And it reminds me of, I saw something, it's not my material, but it was on some social media feed. Somebody had a shirt with this picture of Medusa kind of stenciled on it. And it said, petrify the patriarchy. I found it super humorous, and I had to share it with my daughter because I think that sometimes that queen energy, it's coming out a lot for a reason. It's like many of us think that the divine feminine is soft and yielding and kind and accommodating and flexible. And yes, she is, but there is a time and a place for everything. And sometimes that yellow tiger mother has to bring out the inner bitch, and she has to make those hard decisions. She has to decide at a very deep internal level to stop being loyal to the energies, even if there's still some loyalty to your biological father and the fathers and circumstances, like even your boss. You can't walk in and just, create some type of anarchy. It's not going to go over well. You'll be fired, and maybe that's what you want. Maybe they want you to quit. But it's not about all of that. It's about being able to face down the other dragons without being diminished. It's about harnessing your entire energy of your own inner dragon. It looks like we're going to get cut off. If we do, my apologies. I'm going to see if I can get a little bit of this number 3 card while we're here. Kalahara. She is not bound by appearances, opinions, or material limitations. She is both the void and the infinite creative potential that arises from it. Do not be afraid of uncertainty. If you feel you're without resources, take comfort now. Where there is lack, she restores abundance. She can bring forth exquisite blessing and glorious manifestations from the sacred expanse of nothingness. Your soul can rely upon her completely. Cast your fears away. Hers is the power of the universe, combined with the generosity of grace. You've got this. So take care of you and check back for the other messages. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I could use a little assistance and support. Thanks. Big love, guys.